Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome back to another episode of the My Inner Tiger podcast. Today's episode is a fiery one, and I'm going to talk about Western medicine and healthcare. So you've heard me talk about this and touch on this several times if you're a veteran listener of the show. And I always say I'm going to come back to this in a podcast and sort of sum up all of my feelings on where I stand with traditional Western modern medicine as it is today, because I have a lot of beliefs about it. I have a lot of firsthand experience with it. And I really feel like this is something that the world needs to wake up to. Okay. A lot of people are waking up. We can thank COVID for this, for people like really starting to question the narrative. But a lot of people still just don't get it. And rightly so. And there's no judgment there. It's just that maybe they just haven't understood the history. Maybe they haven't had an experience that put them in a compromised health situation to where they had to, firsthand experience what it's like to be a patient and to really need to fight for your own medical healing, okay? So what I want to talk about in this episode is what I have learned about modern and Western medicine and our healthcare system today, how it is failing us, and what we can do to help and heal ourselves and our families, okay? So let's take this back to my experience in the hospital in November of 2019. For those who don't know, I gave birth to my son in November of 2019, and I just went in to have a baby. I ended up being admitted to the OR immediately after. I lost 80% of the blood in my body. I almost died. I had a near-death experience, and I was brought back to life by an angel doctor. Or basically not brought back to life. I wasn't dead, but I was about to die, and he came in and basically just saved my life. And then I spent the next month in the hospital, barely able to see my child and healing from complete kidney failure with 50 pounds of fluid on my body, unable to move. It was, maybe some people's worst nightmare, right? And I learned so much through this experience that really started to open my eyes to healthcare. Now, prior to this, I had never had much more than like a bad cold or the flu or, some kind of virus that's gone around. Like, I've never had to really be inundated with the hospital, with healthcare practices, with the whole nine, right? So I started to notice things that didn't sit right with me when I was in the hospital. I noticed that everyone looked to the doctors like they were some sort of god. They had this like holier than thou air about them. The nurses all were like, oh, the doctors, right? And I hated this hierarchical vibe that I got. I'm like, we're all human here. Let's just talk about my health. Let's just talk about what's really going on with me. Please just share with me everything that you know. And I kept getting this pushback from not all of them, but a lot of the doctors that was like, we're the expert, you're the patient, you just do what we say. And I hated it. Like, it boiled my blood, right? When they came at me with one diagnosis, I remember one time I questioned it. They were like, you have AHUS and you need this drug. It's this $500,000 a year drug and you have to take it. And I said, whoa. I want to know more information. Tell me, how do you know that I have this? How do you know that I need this drug? What does this drug do? I had so many questions. When I questioned the narrative, they sent like a SWAT team to come in, and really they like railed me on why I was questioning them. They're the doctor. They went to med school for 20 million years, right? They learned all the stuff. I need to do what they say. And I was so helpless in this moment because I have 50 pounds of fluid on my body. I can't even get up, right? and they're going to be putting this God knows what into my body. And it's such a big deal to give me this big transfusion they're going to give me that I have to be transmitted to a bigger hospital that can actually administer it. That's how important this drug was. So for them to treat me that way started just all of my little radars, my smoke alarms started going off like, what's really going on here? This doesn't seem right. And the whole time I was in there, I always felt like the doctors and everyone on the medical team were just going through this checklist. Like they were like the white coats had this big status, but what were they really doing? Were they even really using their brain or their experience? Or were they just going through a checklist and doing what whoever creates the checklist says to do? Because that's what it started to feel like. It didn't seem like their expertise were really involved at all. And, I started to think like, what do they go to school all these years for? And I don't mean to be judgmental about doctors. I know that most every person in healthcare goes to healthcare because they love people. They want to help. They want to, change the world. I get that. They care. So this is not a knock on healthcare professionals. It's really a knock on the system. Okay. So I'm going to get to more of this. But anyway, you can see where I'm going with this. The stuff that they were like the food that they were giving me in the hospital was garbage. There was a McDonald's at the entryway when you walk in. McDonald's is like the worst food on the planet for you. And this is a hospital. Why is there a McDonald's? And then the food they're giving me is just complete garbage. How is this going to help me heal? I had my husband bringing me in celery juice and, all kinds of like healthy stuff because I was just like, this is ridiculous. And so I started noticing that there was nothing about this entire hospital experience that felt like true, genuine healing. Does that make sense? Everything that came at me was a drug or a prick or just a list of blood results. Like everything was a checklist or a drug. And I started thinking, this isn't working. This is not how it should be. And, you go into the hospital and you're like really sick. And also you've got, the hospitals are so understaffed. Nurses should have like just a very small amount of rooms per day or night, right? And they've got so many. They're so backed up, they're so overworked, they can't keep up with all the needs of the people. And it's like you just feel like a number, right? And it's awful. It's cold and it's not empowering to the patient, and you just feel helpless because you're like, I don't know who to turn to. Who do I turn to? Who really has a vested interest in my true healing and in my true well-being? So in this state of affairs, I took it upon myself pretty early on in that hospital to say, I am not falling for this woe is me, I'm the patient, I do everything that you say mentality. I'm taking control. And so I questioned every single thing that they gave me. I questioned every procedure. I questioned every doctor. I got mouthy with them, even though they didn't like it very much. And I was like, no, I need to understand the full scope of what is going on here because no one else is going to do this for me. And I have a baby, a newborn baby to get home to. So I was like fired up about this. And when I finally was able to walk, I noticed I would get up and I would do lap around the hall I was on. And I just noticed I look in every single room and everyone's just so helpless, so incredibly helpless. And no one's getting up and walking. The doctors didn't highly encourage me get up and walk. Whenever I could, I just walked because it's like, I've got to get out of here, right? But all these poor sick people are just being fed this garbage. Hardly anyone was in there visiting them. And they're just, not fully taken care of because the nurses are understaffed and they're just miserable. It's like everyone's just there to die. And it was just the saddest thing. And I thought, this is not okay. All right. So moving on, I could really talk about this forever. So every other day, I was either in dialysis or at a doctor's appointment once I finally got out of the hospital. And again, it's the same thing. It's a checklist, and they just want to check off this and check off this and check off this. And are they really doing anything? Are they doing anything to help me heal? No. What are they doing? If I have a new symptom, what are they doing? They're giving me a drug. They're giving me a new drug. And what are drugs? They're chemicals. They're man-made chemicals. Pharmaceuticals are man-made, and they have chemicals in them. They take a chemical version of what would be a holistic plant medicine, and they put it in these so that they can patent it, okay? And what do they make off of that? Money. So let's talk a little bit about the history. Now, this is something, as I was going through this whole healthcare system, I started realizing no one's going to heal me. I have to heal myself, okay? At the same time, COVID was happening. And all of this craziness was around, and this really started just waking me up completely because everyone's like going nuts. The world is shutting down. Everything fell off, right? So I started to do some digging, and I started learning the history of our modern day healthcare system. And you can look this up. If you Google like John D. Rockefeller and when he started the John D. Rockefeller Foundation and how that changed healthcare. I believe he started the foundation back in 1913, okay? So prior to John D. Rockefeller getting involved in healthcare, healthcare was healthcare, not sick care. Okay, so John D. Rockefeller turned it from healthcare to sick care, meaning he implemented pharmaceuticals. But prior to that, all the healing was through natural medicine, stuff that they learned from like the Indian cultures, ancient cultures, medicines and healing modalities that had worked for centuries upon centuries upon centuries, passed down from generation to generation to generation. Now, in modern time, do we have more science to understand more about stuff that we didn't have back then? Yes. However, the foundation of true healing came from our ancestors, okay? Our ancient ancestors. And so Rockefeller was in the oil business, okay? He was, I think, America's first billionaire. He saw an opportunity to use this oil in quote-unquote pharmaceuticals. Now, I'm not going to go into the whole history here. I've read about it. I don't remember everything that I read, okay? I'm not an expert. Look it up yourself, John D. Rockefeller. And so he started getting all of this research and figuring out how we could make these pills with this natural plant healing medicine, use an oil chemical to man-make it somehow, like find out the chemicals in these natural medicines, man-make the medicines. Somehow he formulated this whole situation and created this whole idea around pharmaceuticals so that he could make what? Money. You can always follow the money, guys. So here comes the pharmaceutical industry. And so what does he do? He realizes he has a problem. All these people all over the world are using these natural medicines. So what did he do? He created a big issue with natural medicine and started infiltrating this new, idea that we need these pills to heal us. So he took this propaganda, implanted it in everyone's minds, bought out, mind you, the school systems, put a whole bunch of money into the school systems, totally took out natural medicine and put in pharmaceutical medicine. Okay? Do you see where this is going? So he took his politics and his money influence and he changed the entire medical system. He did that. Okay, he and his little buddies. Okay, it's a big ordeal. So here we are today. Doctors are being trained in medical school with the best of intentions. They have the best of intentions going to medical school, but they're being trained this doctrine of money-making propaganda via pharmaceuticals. So here we have the sick care system. You go to the doctor, you tell them your symptoms. What do? They write you a prescription. They tell you to take some pills. Are they helping you with what lifestyle changes you should be making? Are they telling you what different diet options you have that can help you? Are they giving you ideas for natural healing plants and herbs and supplements that will actually help you thrive and heal you? No. They're giving you man-made chemicals with god-awful shit in them and calling it healthcare. And then what happens? Now we're all forced to pay an arm and a leg for this insurance. Like some of us keep our corporate jobs just so we can have insurance, right? Just in case something happens. I mean, we pay for our own insurance and it's stupid. Like I hate that we do because I don't even use it anymore. None of us do, but we're like, well, just in case someone gets in a car accident or breaks a leg, right? Like you got to have it, but you're paying an arm and a leg. Like some people are paying like half their salary or their paycheck goes to healthcare and insurance, whether it's house insurance, car insurance, health insurance, like all the insurances are just a complete ripoff. Again, another podcast. But here we are, slaves to this system, and we've been lied to. We have all been pump faked. We've been lied to and convinced that this is what we need in our society. So I go every 2 weeks to have my blood drawn to the cancer center just because I like to see my numbers. And I walk in there and it's just so sad because everyone in there is so sick and they're all masked up, which by the way, masks do not work at all. Do your research. And they're all masked up, which is making their immune systems worse. And, they're probably all vaccinated up, which is also making their immune systems worse. And getting their chemo treatments and their other pharmaceutical treatments, all this stuff that's just making everyone worse. Yes, chemo can save people from cancer, but let's think about what's giving us cancer in the first place, okay? It's our food, it's our water, it's the crap they're putting into our environment. It's really hard to avoid if we're not awake to what's really happening. If we're not awake to all of the shit we have coming our way in our modern day society, okay? God, I could just talk about this forever and ever, all the different legs and arms coming off of this topic, right? But what I want you to really understand, if you don't understand this already, is that our healthcare system is built on money. Greedy ass fucking money. And it doesn't mean that people going into healthcare have bad intentions. This is not a knock on them. It's a knock on the system. It's a knock on the people who created this problem in the first place. And we have to fight it. So what do? I am still one to have insurance because I just like to have it just in case. But there's alternative options out there, okay? Now, what I have learned from doing a constant dig on what is available in alternative medicine to try to truly heal my body on my own without getting a kidney transplant, which I do not think is in my best and highest good. If I got a kidney transplant, I would have to be on hardcore pharmaceuticals for the rest of my life. And it only lasts for a maximum of 30 years. Maximum. And I got a lot more. I've got a baby on the way. Like I I can figure out how to heal my body, okay? Because I know that it's possible. So alternative healing options. There are holistic healing options out there. My favorite that I have found so far, which I'll avoid the whole shebang on how I even got to this conclusion, but it was a lot of trial and error. I finally found a functional medicine doctor. What I love and what is so important about functional medicine doctors is that they will get to the bottom of why you are sick in the first place. They're not there to just give you a pill to deal with your symptoms or some kind of hardcore chemotherapy drug to zap some shit out of your body. They're there to help you get to the core. How do they do that? First of all, they are highly, highly educated and trained. Passing your boards for functional medicine is way harder than passing the boards for typical standard medicine. Okay, just throw that out there. And they're few and far between, but the industry is very much growing. So they do a lot of testing. So they test toxicity in your body, heavy metals. They test your stool. They test your urine. They test your hormones. They test there's all kinds of different stuff like intense blood work, hair tests. Like they'll do all these tests, DNA tests. There's tests out there. Like we are very, very advanced in technology as to what we can test in our bodies. But Western medicine does not use that. Why? Because that would actually make us healthy. And they're not interested in making us healthy. The sicker we are, the more we need their pills, right? So functional medicine gets to the root cause and the core of what's really going on. Now I'm going to talk more. I thought I would talk in this episode about what I've learned about myself with functional medicine, but that's like a whole nother podcast. So I don't want to take up too much time in this one. But I've learned a lot about how my DNA is structured for one, and my family. So it's really cool. And how all of the toxicity and heavy metals and all mold exposure and all kinds of stuff got me to where I am today. So when I had this whole situation with my kidneys after giving birth, it was basically my body just having a complete shutdown. Like it had been running on E and I just totally tanked out of gas and it just, kind of shut down, right? But it was a long time coming because I had so much stuff going on in my body. So what am I doing about that now? I'm working with this amazing functional medicine doctor. She gives me lots of supplements. I'm on some really intense supplement detoxes. I'm on a very strict diet. I've learned so much about really, really good nutrition, and not just nutrition like blanket nutrition for everybody, but nutrition that's best for me and my body. Because newsflash, we are all very different. And there's so much marketing out there for like so much crap on how to be healthy these days. Like drink these mushroom teas and drink this pea concoction and drink this, blah, blah, blah. These proteins and there's so much out there. And I'm guilty of buying into a whole bunch of that in the past, but we're all so different. Like, for example, I shouldn't be eating mushrooms because of the status of my gut, because it's too much fungus and my gut is full of extra bacteria and fungus and all kinds of yeast, like all kinds of stuff. And our gut is like our second brain. If we can heal our gut, we can heal a lot of things in our body. But, anyway, it's more than that. So I'm just trying to paint a little bit of a picture for you as to what I'm doing. But this is true healthcare. This is truly learning how to make yourself healthy. And you have to take the reins yourself. This is what I'm trying to tell you. I did an episode called Cultivating Sovereignty. Go back and listen to that. I thought it was a good one. On learning how to stop putting so much of our faith into external programs, external people. We need to take full ownership and responsibility of our health and our bodies, because the way that our society is moving today is truly meant to harm us. It truly is. And what is it doing for them, the elites? It's putting money in their pockets. They don't care about us. They care about themselves. We have to stand up for ourselves. It is a beautiful world that we live in, but it is also a very dark situation that we are dealing with right now, especially right now on our planet, especially with the propaganda and the shit that they're trying to roll out with vaccines and mandates and all of this garbage. It's not helping you. If you're not awake to that, wake up, please. I beg you. I beg you. Because we have to save not only ourselves, but our children and our future generations. We have to know how to truly care for them and keep them healthy and strong because they have so much going against them. The healthcare system is not out there to help them. If they break a leg, yes, wonderful. We need them. Western medicine is great for acute healthcare. You're having a heart attack, you break a leg, you need immediate medical attention, awesome. They are there to keep us alive, right, in the moment. But they are not there to make us healthy in the long run. That is our job. Now, going back to functional medicine is so gorgeous. It's so beautiful. It's the way of the future. The only problem is it's expensive. And it's so sad that this insurance we have to have covers this garbage healthcare system that's really not helping us. Whereas we could be using that money on a true healthcare, like functional medicine. I like functional medicine better than just plain holistic because it gets such a full picture with the testing that they do of exactly what's going on in your body and targets you exactly what you need, right? Holistic's great for little things here and there. I prefer holistic over regular. And sometimes you need regular medicine. So I'm not saying like we don't ever need it. We can appreciate pharmaceuticals for saving our lives in some situations. But again, I'm going back to the system. It's the system that is the problem, right? And they've also, not only are they pumping these pharmaceuticals, but they're also shutting down and censoring true healthcare. A lot of functional medicine doctors are being silenced. They're being censored. They're being shut down when they're speaking out about what's truly going to help people, especially with COVID. There were protocols out there that could help us with COVID, and they got shut down. The media was lying to us. And by the way, the same people that own this healthcare system, the Rockefeller and his buddies, they all own the media too. So wake up. Wake up to what's going on around you. Take full ownership of your bodies. And sorry, I got a little off track. Back to functional medicine. It's expensive. But if you asked me, the most important thing that we have is our health. It's truly, if we don't have our health, we have nothing. We have nothing. So it's all about prioritizing your funds. It sucks the way that the system is, set up. It's set up for us to fail when it comes to healthcare because true healthcare is so expensive. It should not be that way, but it is. It's just the way it is right now. But as long as you start to understand and have the awareness that you're not healing, you're not truly healing the Western medicine route, then you're at least one step ahead of most of the world, truly. So be aware of all of this. Find a doctor for your child, whether it's insurance covers it or not, that is not just pushing that checklist. What's really going to help your child? I've got my child seeing the functional medicine doctor as well, and I've learned so much about him and his DNA that's created him to be more susceptible to certain toxins, and now we're detoxing him as well, and it's helping his behavior, it's helping his height, it's helping all kinds of things. It's crazy. It's crazy what you learn when you start going down this whole route of true healing, which is out there and available, readily available for all of us. It's just that it's not being pushed in the media. It's not being pushed in your day-to-day. You have to find it yourself. And it took me getting really sick and deciding, okay, they're not helping me. I have to forge my own way here. And it led me to all kinds of alternative healing methods, not even just like physical healing, but emotional healing, trauma healing, all kinds of that stuff is really important in healing. So there's just an entire world out there, and that's what I want to create. I want to create that awareness for you so that you can have more sovereignty over your life, so that you're not just living in this bubble of what you're seeing in mainstream society, because it's hurting you. It's hurting you. So anyway, what else did I want to talk about? I had some notes, never even looked at the page. So if you have any questions and you want to know anything about this, please feel free to reach out to me. Send me a direct message on social media. I would love to answer any questions that you might have. I'm so happy to do it because I am extremely passionate about this, extremely. And so please don't hesitate to just send me any question that you might have. If you look in the show notes, you can find a link to my Instagram and my Facebook. And I'm, again, more than happy to answer any questions that you might have and help empower you on your health journey to start getting answers and really heal, I love you. Thank you so much for listening to this whole episode, and I will catch you on the next one.